Hey gamers, so today's sharp practice with American War of Independence is going to be a little bigger than the last game we did, and hopefully we're going to get the rules right this time. So it's Spencer over here against me, and I think we're going to have another guy show up later, but let's have a look at the forces. So on the British side, we have 1 unit of light infantry, 3 groups of British regulars with 2 leaders, a level 3 and a level 1, a level 2 leader with some loyalist state troopers, and Tecumseh with his band of Indians who have been basically the savior of the game in the last 3 games we've played. On the continental side, we have 2 units of continental light troopers, 3 units of continental regulars with a level 3 leader and a level 1 leader, and 3 units of loyalists state troopers. So basically the forces are almost exactly the same, and we're going to look at the battlefield. So on the battlefield, this is today's battlefield. We have a couple of buildings down this end over here and some trees, so it's a little bit more open than the last battle we did, and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to, after we've set up, I'm going to come back and do another video. After the end of deployment, the Indians set up there in the woods, and the American light troops were in the woods there. The state troopers, the continental regulars are over there, and the other light troopers there. The British basically had to set up in a big bunch here because the entire army of Continental was on the table before the British even got one in. So they kind of got forced into a corner down here. So we're going to see what happens, and we're going on to turn 1. Turn 2 was an action-packed turn. The British moved very slowly up the center. The state troopers over there moved 3 inches. Ooh. The light troopers moved up to the edge of the woods, fired into the Indians and scored 1 hit. The Indians fired at the state troopers and just fluffed it. Nothing. But over here, a lot happened. The American Continentals moved up 1 inch, fired into the Loyalist troopers, got lots of shock, which also the others caused a lot of shock on. But with all the commanders around, we reduced the shock to nothing and ended up with just 1 hit. So that is basically how the turn ended. We're going into turn 3. So this turn, basically everything happened at the end. The loyalist state troopers fired devastatingly into the colonial troops, killed several guys and forced them back. The unit to the right is almost ready to break. They're at maximum stress. So on their turn, they pulled back. They also pulled back over here because 2 guys were killed. The state troopers managed to get a second shot because the one group that broke off managed to roll an event and got to shoot again. The British rushed into the trees, but they are more than 4 inches from the edge of the woods, which means they can't see the state troopers. The state troopers there fired into the Indians, but whiffed it. That's where we're sitting. We're into the next turn. A bird's eye view. This is a drone. Drone in the American War of Independence. Ooh. Okay. So in that turn, it was a very bloody turn. It started off with the skirmishers charging the British skirmishers and wiping each other out. Well, the American skirmishers got wiped out. The British skirmishers were forced to withdraw from breaking and went off the table. But that did cause morale loss for both sides. The Americans' Continental line troops just managed to rally, so they're getting their rally down there, as well as the ones over here. The Loyalist troopers here moved at a 45 angle to get the Continentals back into line, and they moved up the road there. Now, there was a massive fight in the center. The state troopers charged the British, who were ready for them. There was a massive fight, and the British had so many more dice, but they rolled like crap. 7 Continental troopers were killed to the 6 of the British, which was almost a draw. But they did force the troopers back. The light troopers charged across to try and engage or get as close as possible to the British, and the Indians came out of the woods to meet them. So there's going to be a very, very bloody turn next turn. And the morale is now sitting at 8 for the Continentals and 10 for the British. A very bad turn for the Continentals. The Continental troops fell back over here and tried to regroup. So they are rallying, but the center just fell apart. First, the British move fired into them, caused one unit to break and rout off the table, which caused a morale loss. The Loyalist troopers moved up the road, fired, and caused another unit to break. The Indians, the Continental Light Troopers charged the Indians. There was a massive fight, but the Indians did lose Tecumseh, which he was wounded, which actually is a morale check, which we will check on. And the light troopers basically were forced back, and they broke and routed off the table. So at this point, the Continentals decided to run with the last troops he has, and it ends the game. Just to show you the morale is actually, it's 9 British to 1 Continental. So all that needed to happen in the next turn was the British fire into the Continentals to end the game. So that's how it ended. It was a great game. There was lots of close combat. There's more close combat in this game than I've ever seen. So Spencer, what do you think? What was your bad point?
Me absolutely shocking the hell out of your Loyalist troops, and then them just absolutely recovering from it like it was nothing. Completely changed the game.
Yes, because what happened was I happened to have 4 command chips, and then when the Loyalists came up, they had some pretty bad stress throughout the unit, but I managed to basically recover 6 points of stress in 1 round. And then it also helped that I went first in the next turn, which managed to devastate his Continental troops. So I think all my troops performed well. The British moved into the woods, took on his state troopers after receiving a charge, but his state troopers were pretty badly beat up at that point.
Yeah, it was desperate action after desperate action.
Yeah, the Continentals were just trying to hold. And but it was a great game. It was lots of fun. And the whole game took us, well, less than an hour and a half to play. So we really love sharp practice. It's a great set of rules. I think next time I might make an American Civil War. We have 15mm American Civil War, and we use stands of 3 to represent 1 stand. So stay tuned to Barry Historical Gaming and for our next battle report. My name's Vincent, and I am Sir Games-A-Lot.